The Owl House Season 3 is firing off on all cylinders, which is evident in the upcoming time skip that will see the characters age by a few months with new looks to boot. I've always been a massive fan of time skips in storytelling, and it's something I'm glad American cartoons are dipping their toes into more once the story kicks into endgame territory. And while we've seen what Luce, Amity, Willow, Gus, and Hunter will look like, everyone and everything about the Boiling Isles is shrouded in mystery, and we likely won't see what's going on over there until the characters successfully return to the Demon Realm, which probably won't be until the end of the first special. But I believe we can still figure out quite a bit of the direction things will be headed in, thanks to not only previous episodes and a vivid imagination, but the various influences that have shaped the Owl House into what it's become today. What happened to the giant Titan skull after the Collector took over? What's going to happen to Eda after losing her arm? And what state will we find these characters in? Break out the tinfoil because we're going to get wild and return to the Demon Realm. And before we dive in, just a quick reminder to like and subscribe, check out Toondrip for some Owl House inspired merch, and give me a follow on Twitter over at AllStrickVox. With all that said, let's dive in. The best place to start is the place that Luce and the squad are desperately fighting to get back to: the Boiling Isles. I believe the main setting of the show will have a drastic change in appearance under the Collector's rule. Our final moments in the Demon Realm saw the celestial demigod begin to terraform the head of the Titan from the inside, declaring if they're going to play Owl House, then they're going to need an Owl House. Which, for the longest time, left many fans, including myself, asking, what the hell does that even mean? But I think I actually have a pretty good idea, thanks to fellow YouTuber ZzVovG, who suggested in his own theory video that the Collector's vision for an owl house could actually be a tree, since those are where owls usually hang out in our real world, foreshadowed by the inclusion of a giant tree in the Season 3 poster. However, while I think Ziz is onto something, I'll also raise him one better. Keeping the Collector's childlike wonder in mind, I think the Collector actually formed a giant treehouse-like castle or tower out of the Titan's skull, complete with a bird box right at the top. The bird box itself would be considered the true Owl House, as within that ginormous box would likely be the Collector's palace. Perhaps his game of Owl House is won by actually making it to the top of the treehouse. Maybe it's more along the lines of Capture the Flag. Maybe Covens versus Wilds with elaborate foreshadowing. That's not the point of this video. Not only do I believe we'll have a giant treehouse where the Titan's head used to be, but for some reason, my head envisions this so-called Owl House having a similar visual aesthetic to the third Pokemon movie, Spell of the Unknown, aka the best one. Hear me out. Spell of the Unknown sees a young girl named Molly who loses both of her parents on 2 separate occasions to the mysterious Pokemon named the Unknown. Long story short, things get weird fast as the Unknown gives Molly the legendary Pokemon Entei to fill in as Papa and transform her house into a crystal tower. Ash's mom also gets kidnapped against her will to fill in as her mama. Ash is all like,
"But that's my mom, bruh! Who's gonna make my goddamn PB&J?"
and pulls up to throw hands, but then the gang realizes that this little girl is dealing with trauma. They help her come to terms with the reality that her parents are gone, fight the Unknown, and break the spell, which frees her parents. Happy ending. Go watch Spell of the Unknown. It's not that long. It's my favorite Pokemon movie. It's the darkest Pokemon movie. And this storyline with the Collector is giving off a lot of similar vibes. I mean, come on. Characters who vanished into another dimension, a beloved character being bound to a child who wields immense power, yet said beloved character genuinely wants to help them to an extent? Hell, the Collector simultaneously plays the role of Molly and the Unknown here, as the Unknown are not only super powerful, but to this day, they are, well, unknown. In the greater lore of Pokemon, we don't know much about their purpose or where they come from, much like how the Collector is only known to be a child of the stars. Between this possible inspiration and the limited amount of time we have left, it's very likely that a lot of information around the Collector will remain a mystery, which is fine. Not everything in a story needs to be explained, and it's not uncommon for the most alluring questions to go unanswered. I don't think these similarities are coincidences. As I said before, Dana Terrace is a big Pokemon fan, and her love for the franchise has shined through before with things like the Palisman or the fact that the Collector was being held in a beast ball. So why wouldn't she pay homage to Pokemon's darkest and most emotionally rich film in the endgame, especially when the setup is identical? Prepare your eyeballs, folks, because I think a very pretty palace, smack dab in the middle of despair, is coming. Side note, Spell of the Unknown only being an hour and 10 minutes should be a great example of why you shouldn't worry about the Owl House's third season only consisting of these 3 episodes, because they're all 44 minutes long, the length of a standard TV movie, and thus they're able to structure themselves as such, movies. Not just 2 episodes smushed together. Anyways, moving on to how the characters on the Isles will appear after the time skip, let's start with Eda. When we last saw the fierce leader of the Bad Girls Coven, she was quickly heading towards the sweet release of death by the draining spell. But at the last second, Raine did her a solid and tore off Eda's arm, removing the Coven sigil and sparing her from the Day of Unity. Now, as cool as a one-arm Eda would be, I think she's actually going to get some sort of prosthetic. In particular, I could see Alador making her a robot arm that's similar to the arm of an Abomaton, allowing her to kick ass in a brand new way, with the hand transforming into different weapons similar to Amity, Alador, and the Abomatons. And if you think this might sound ridiculous, Eda's already a mix of Ryoko and Hal, so throwing some Edward Elric in there wouldn't be a stretch. I do think Alador would make this contribution to Eda as a kind gesture, given that he presumably knows of Eda and Luce's dynamic, and wants to help out the caretaker of his daughter's girlfriend. So yeah, I'm betting on seeing Robot Arm Eda with some sort of rebellion drip. I also expect Eda to remain alongside Raine and the cats, so I'll save my predictions around their whereabouts for when we get to Raine. That said, let's switch gears over to King. This is pretty straightforward. I think King is either going to look exactly the same or be aged up just a little bit, taking on more of a teenage appearance accompanied with an adjusted performance by Alex Hirsch. We know King will eventually grow up and get really big, and these episodes are the last chance to really show him start to go through Titan puberty. So I hope they take advantage of this time skip to give us a glimpse at how Titans grow, and give King a W after how much pain he's endured. Perhaps he'll even have more evolved powers. As for King's whereabouts, I think just like how Ash's mom was being held captive by Molly, but wasn't directly treated like a prisoner, at least in an over-the-top cruel way, King will find himself unable to escape the Collector and mentally exhausted after months of playing Owl House, trying to reason with the Collector and pick their brain to better understand them, only to be met with little success. Whether or not King has seen Eda in this time is something I'm less sure of, as I can see the Collector picking inhabitants of the Isles to be players in his game at random, with Eda being one of those participants, and the Collector potentially doing something horrific to the losers, like petrification. This would land King in a sort of damsel in distress role, leaving his fate in the hands of his found family. And this brings us to Lilith, Raine, Darius, and Eberwolf, aka the prominent characters of the Covens Against the Throne, with the throne now being the Collector and his Owl House. All of these characters were near each other when we last saw them during the Day of Unity, with Eda being the only one awake as she held Raine. So unless the Collector whisked them all up to his domain while they were unconscious, Eda probably scrambled to move everyone she could to safety while the Collector terraformed in the distance. I imagine over these past few months, the cats have laid low in either the Owl House, like Eda's actual home, or actually, the Emperor's castle. I mean, Belos is gone, and everyone else with political power on the Isles almost had their lives taken away by the draining spell, so I don't see there being much opposition to using these corridors as a base of operations, unless we go full Game of Thrones and Odalia says, screw it, this is my castle now. Could you imagine Odalia declaring war on the Collector, with her little piece of shit Abomatons and the Collector just one-shots? Oh my god, I'd actually love to see that. Lilith, being somewhat of a historian, may be actively researching the Collector and searching for any information she can find on him. Lest we forget, Philip only discovered the Collector because of his own research, which led to him seeking out the tablet that allowed him to summon the Collector. So chances are that information is still out there. Lilith learning of the Collector's origins and how to reseal them back into the tablet. Even if this happened off screen, it would be a great way to keep her relevant to the story and keep the pacing strong without anything feeling rushed. I also expect her to have some badass time skip drip. Raine has shown to be pretty strategic and thoughtful, and I believe this will persist into the 3rd season, as I believe they'll have written a brand new song to oppose the Collector, similar to Raine's Rhapsody or Eda's Requiem. This line of thinking not only comes from Raine's bard magic, but also comes from the Collector's childlike nature and the association children have with lullabies. Essentially, I believe the cats will come to the conclusion that the Collector cannot be killed, not by them. So after recovering one of the tablets, likely the one on Titan Trapper Island, given that the other would still be in the skull of the Titan, I think Raine would take it upon themselves to create a spell that'll soothe and neutralize the Collector, allowing the cats to seal him away. Visually, aside from everyone getting new drip, I think Dana Terrace has actually shown us Raine's appearance after the time skip already, as this cool down illustration of Eda and Raine from a while ago features longer hair on Raine that doesn't add up to their present day appearance. Since we will be picking up a few months in the future, longer hair on Raine just kinda makes sense. Plus, I prefer this longer look over their shorter hair in Season 2 anyways. I've also seen some fan art that depicts Raine retaining facial scars from the draining spell, which I would welcome. It'd be impactful for this major event to leave a mark on those who were affected by it. As for Darius and Eberwolf, I honestly don't have many thoughts on them, but I wanted to mention them here so the comments didn't think they were forgotten. Although, assuming Alador joins the cats, I hope to see him and Darius leave some meaningful interaction. When it comes to the other Coven heads, there's a chance they'll join the cats, but a part of me kinda just expects them to become fodder to the Collector and made an example out of during this game. Same thing with the rest of the Hexside cast that was left behind on the Isles. And probably Odalia because she sucks. It's kinda like how a majority of the Gravity Falls supporting cast were petrified within Bill's throne during the Weirdmageddon story arc. Lastly, I'm really curious about the Titan Trappers, as I'm sure they'd want to make their way to the Isles after the Collector's return. How are they going to react to King being held as the Collector's playmate after trying to kill him? Are they going to serve the Collector and kinda act as opposition for our heroes? Or are they going to immediately suffer and become unwilling pawns in his game? My one major prediction for them is that instead of dressing up like Titans, this cult will now be dressed like the Collector, with a similar pajama party vibe. Those are going to make for some pretty comfy cosplay. And that's about all the speculation I have up in my noggin. And as always, I want to know what you guys think. What are your expectations for the Boiling Isles after the time skip? Do you agree with our thoughts, or do you think it's going to go in a different direction? Let us know in the comments down below. And keep the conversation going by giving us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at AllStrickFox and at Roundtable Vids. And I also have a TikTok where I post a lot of shitposts at Kevin's Rabbit Hole. And I'm sure I'll meme it up once the Owl House Season 3 rolls around. Be sure to check out Toon Drip for some dope Owl House inspired merch. Special thanks to Janky Bones for creating a fantastic thumbnail. As always, for more of their amazing art, check out their Instagram and Twitter at BoneJanky, their Tumblr at Janky Bones, and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Links in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. See ya!